Here. I'm going to see if I can't find the live on my site. Let me refresh my screen so I can see if there's any comments from anybody when you guys come in. We're really being challenged with okay, so we got one person watching. I don't see who it is yet. And why won't it let me put up live chat? Here we go. That way we can see what you guys are saying. Okay, guys. Hey, good morning, everybody. And I got to turn the sound on my computer off here. Let's turn the volume down. So, top of the morning to you, Opal. How are you, honey? How's the world treating everybody? I'm a little bummed that my chat's not coming up where... Here we go. I see Joanne Rose. I see Sherry Ellis. I am going to still have to turn my head to see you guys once in a while if somebody says something and I miss it. So yesterday we kind of made up for Thursday's missed live playing with the acrylic paper metallics. It was a little bit of challenge playing with these safety lids. Now these, we only got a short amount of these sent to us by the manufacturer to make up for. We now have 5 reported broken glass droppers. Morning, Catherine Medford. And so the manufacturer immediately sent us plastic, but they said they're not really going to get their plastic shipment till the end of the year, like now. And so they sent us this child safety thing, which they're a little pain in the neck to first open up, I admit. I mean, it's nice that they're not going to leak, but still a little bit of a challenge to try to keep the flow on live, because in a live, there is no do-overs, right? Mix up some matte. Well, you know what I want to do? I'm going to try to do a swipe today. And so I want to mix up one purely pigment matte. I'm going to mix up a PrizmPour and we're going to alter it a little bit. I have a few primary elements I'm going to play with today. Am I correct that the can be used? Yes, absolutely. That's just pure color. You'll be thrilled to see what they do in an airbrush. Now, if you're going to use the metallics, which they will too, I would get a, and I haven't used it yet, but I bought an airbrush from the hardware, like Home Depot, that has a larger end to it. I guess I'm using the wrong term. That will accept the mica. So I want to mix up some colors. I'm going to try to do a swipe. Now, you probably can't see these pieces behind me on the wall. I don't know if you see that piece up here hanging on the wall and the one behind me and the one over here to the left. Okay, so in 2016, when the swiping thing kind of merged, you know, just like blooms merged in 19, it was actually these two guys on a Facebook page. They both grabbed the end of whatever receptacle they were using to scrape the paint with. And then they did this really giant, it had to be like 48 inches or 60-inch long swipe. It was crazy, crazy. And I thought, wow, that's the coolest thing in the world. But we were laying paint down over the entire canvas. Now, that statement might confuse people because today people are putting down a pillow if they're doing basically the bloom and there's a big mound of white paint in the middle of it. Some people are completely covering their canvas. Dutch pours, it's very common. In the epoxy world, that's called a flood coat. But if you look at this one here on this top right, here, the very top right, it was an off-center swipe. And I swiped some of the color up, some of the color down. Actually, it's one of the prettiest ones at the gallery. I really love this thing. Someday I'm going to take you on a tour here through the pieces. But the white area was actually white paint with American Floetrol. And the color, we were using silicone. And then silicone got a bad rap. We know that if there was a couple reasons. It's a pain in the neck if you're going to try to resin. There is a technique to do it. I'll go into that in another live and I'll show you guys how I do that, how I get around the silicone. That the other thing at the time, we were using propellants, and they're not safe to sit inside and, you know, even if you decant it into a cup sitting right here at your table, all that propellant's going in the room. We had to go outside to decant the silicone. And of course now we have all moved to the treadmill oil. You know, there was a hair serum that people were able to use, but the reaction, and again, I know you're not going to see this far away. It might be more noticeable on this one over here on the left. The coolest reaction happened when you took your paint and your swiping paper, and this was my swiping paper, my very messy swiping paper, and you swiped with color with nothing in it like the black, went over the silicone and into the end that had the Floetrol. And it may be hard to see on this one over here, but it created these big, giant, looks like water droplets in there. It's the coolest effect when you actually have silicone and Floetrol in the same piece. I've been noticing a couple people starting to play with that again, and I don't know the feasibility of it, but hey, I'm here and I can make a mess, right? Now, when I actually do the swipe, I'm probably going to have to stand. When we started getting to swipes that had thinner, we were using thinner paint, I could get away with this acetate that's super paper thin. But this stuff, this paper's actually it's a plastic that's normally comes in the packaging of something that you buy, right? It's got a protective piece of plastic on it. I think this was a big gel press plate. This was on the cover of my big gel press plate. And by the way, I do have my gel press. But it's just got more body to it. And then if I put the paint on this and drag it, right? Now, why we put paint on the bottom now, well, if it skips, you don't want blank or raw canvas exposed. I am going to try one, I don't know. I stippled this with PrizmPour yesterday, and it's got a nice little top. So after I do this slightly larger one, I'm also going to experiment on this, where I'm using the PrizmPour completely dried, but because it's got a slick surface to it, the paint should slide really nicely on here. Now, why don't I like using white paint? Well, white paint can diffuse your colors, you know, if it gets sunk down into the white. Probably my biggest concern is the white house paint people are using. Here's a fun fact. In the last 3 decades, we've gone through such a home improvement phase in this country that our indoor paint that goes on regular walls, I think they call it an eggshell style paint. That's not the color, right? It has primers and fast drying agents in it. Now, what does that mean? Well, in the old days, and I'm aging myself, Mom would hire someone to come in, they sand the wall, they prime the wall, and then they paint the wall. And everything's all in one in a can. And Europe really didn't do this. I don't know how much into Canada they did. It might gone into Canada, but definitely in Australia when Sheila first came up with that bloom technique, they don't have to deal with that. And so what was happening is the translucent primary elements and translucent golden paint. I don't know if I've got a tube here. I should have pulled it out. But when you see your paints from golden and you can actually see the design of the color through the tube. I think I have one here. If you can see that color of the tube, they're showing you the translucency, right? And someone had reported to me that she didn't know why her golden color was disappearing in the white. I said, well, first of all, you're trying to blow in there. The whole idea is to skitter the paint over the top. You're blowing it down under the white and back up to the other side, like going on our way to grandmother's house we go, right? So where do you think the color's going to go? And then it's interesting, I reported it, but I got a lot of flack from a certain group out there that was not very responsive to my comments about that. And then Karen from Waterfall actually did one of her, is it a split bloom that she does? These altered blooms are real pretty. And she had used this other paint. Now, you can buy the indoor eggshell, is that stuff that kind of has an eggshell texture to it. It dries really quick, like I said. But when we're painting our bathroom or our kitchen, we're using enamel, right? That's because your bathroom sweats, there's steam in there. Your kitchen sweats, there's steam in there. So they recommend that you paint those two rooms with enamel on the walls to protect your walls from the water. And what Karen had done is she'd gone to her local hardware store, Home Depot probably, and there is a white enamel you can buy at the hardware store that doesn't have any of that stuff added to it. It's meant to be tinted pink or a soft yellow, or maybe you're going to tint it sage, you know, you're painting the baby's room blue, but there's nothing in it. And so she did this piece with the primary elements and even flipped the canvas over and said, look, everybody, the color isn't going to the back, because the color would draw back to the back of the canvas. Now, I'll be honest, the primary elements have a ton of color in them, probably too much color in them, but I'd rather give you more and then you add stuff to it than have something weak and timid. So the point is not all white house paint's the same. It doesn't behave the same. Another paint I had good luck with, but this was in 2016, Rust-Oleum made something called Painter's Touch. You could only buy in a 32-ounce can, and I found it at my Home Depot. And I wasn't really using the Artist Loft. I mean, everybody was using Artist Loft White then at the time for their swipes, and the Artist Loft Black, which, by the way, was fabulous for swipes. But the Painter's Touch had a really clean black. I mean, a black. And it had a really clean white. And that stuff also doesn't have all that in it. And it was like $8 for a 32-ounce can. It wasn't horrible. So that's what I used up here on each end. So my white paint had Floetrol in it. Some of my colors had silicone in them. I'm repeating this one more time. And when they hit one another, we got a reaction. Then I also did another swipe one time, and those of you that know me, that I'm not a big Floetrol proponent, except for maybe doing the blooms. American Floetrol, I've seen some challenges with. I even put some of our Interference Violet in the Floetrol and just dribble it all over the top of my piece when I swiped it. I have a video up on my channel. I think it's video number 12, and it's like years and years old. But what I want to show you is the very first swipe I ever did. And it's probably going to be easier to show it if I lay it down. Now, do you see that person, that body and the hands going up? Okay. What is absolutely nuts about this, guys, is this was just colored layered down. This was my Rust-Oleum white. And I swiped into it, and it was the very first live I had ever done on Facebook. Let's see if we can get this closer. I'll try to flip it over. Yeah, you're right. I see a bird. I see a hand coming down, reaching down. And this, hey, good. And this head, this like orange head coming up. And so what I did is, after this thing swiped, I ended up touching up the different areas to accentuate the body. And I was going through a lot of struggles, man. This was just this crazy, ghostly swipe. But the colors are still phenomenal. This was done in 2017, my very first attempt at a swipe. And the people at the gallery were like asking me, how the heck did you do this? But that varnish, even over the top of our colors, and this was all primary elements, not too bad. You can see that jasmine pink up here and the ginger peach orange in the head, because that's what the colors we were using at the time. Okay. So what we're going to do today, let's hope this works. Okay. I have this, I think this is like a 12 by 14. Now they're making canvases with like a cardboard or wood laminate in them. So it makes it to where you could actually resin something like this, where, you know, most canvases don't do that. Fredericks has a whole line of canvases that has, thank you, Opal, has a whole line of canvases that has that surface on there. So we're going to try this. We'll see if it works, but I'm going to have to do a lot of mixing. And let me find my enamel. Let me get my, yeah, this is going to kind of be my little measuring scoop. You have a question? What's your question, Megan? And I do actually have my camera next to me, so I can look in a second. You just go ahead and ask that question while I'm doing this. So, you know me, I always end up starting with the varnish just because I can see a cleaner version of the color when it's in a varnish. So that's probably about a half a teaspoon. And we're gonna use Pam Coffee. I don't see her on yet today. I don't know if she is. But she is really in love with that My Papaya when I turned it into this pink color. Can I use Purely Pigments? Oh, Megan, you gotta watch. Oh, heck yeah. There's like 8 videos up there. You need to watch the videos I've been doing. I've been doing resin one day and acrylic the other day. Yes, I am mixing it right in resin and pouring it right on camera for you, love. Absolutely. Okay, so Pam, she liked the lighter version, so I'm going to put 2 drops of Purely Pigment in here. I did like it when I mixed that one up with the gold, because I got a rose gold. So let's use some interference gold, right? But sparkle violet, right? So the interference is going to, yeah, the new metallics is beautiful in resin. And I did mix one up in that, and I'll do it again on Tuesday when we're playing with the resin again. I will. I got my handy dandy spoons. You know, it's a holiday. I'm trying to figure out how I can do a drawing on here, because I'd love to give away a set of these spoons to somebody. And the only way I could do it is, you know, do a number between 1 and 50 and then maybe text it to somebody. So that way, you know, why, you know, I'm not favoring my best buddies, or at least somebody can keep track of it. But I'm going to ask you a question right off the bat, and I'm going to watch the feed. So I am going to give away a set of these spoons right now for the 15 of you that are watching me, okay? I'll ask this question, and if it's not answered too quickly, then I'll give you a number through 1 through 50. How do you make a peach? Does anybody know how to make a peach? Megan, Opal, Kathy? How about you, Sherry? Does anybody know how to make a peach? Now I'm watching the live chat, and the last comment was from Megan. Okay, I'm going to mix some of this gold in here, but I'm going to keep an eyeball in there. Close, Megan. Very close. Pink and orange. She's very close. Because orange is actually a step off from the family of like coral, yellow and red, orange and light red, orange and yellow. You're right, interference would help. Now, no, I've not seen the answer from anybody technically, but then you would ask me, well, then how do you make a pink? Technically, it's pink and yellow. If you do orange and yellow, you're just going to get a yellow-orange. If you do yellow and red, you're going to get an orange. I'm thinking all the things that you guys said to me. Orange and light red, orange and yellow, right? It's actually pink and yellow, right? Now, white, red, and yellow, Opal's basically saying she's going to make a pink out of her white and red, right? And then add the yellow to it. But since nobody guessed it, I'm thinking of a number between 1 and 50. While I mix this up, you guys have a few minutes to answer that question because nobody actually said pink and yellow. And I want you guys to be able to learn stuff here while we're doing this. So think of a number between 1 and 50. 10, 10, 37, 24, 45, 17, 39. Not yet. Let's see how many people we got in here. Let me get this violet in here. 23. Well, there's 2 of you. The number's 13. And there was 2 of you that were the closest. 2 of you said 10. So the 2 of you that said 10, email me at Leslie, Leslie, Ohnstad, Ohnstad .arte@gmail.com, and I will send you both a set. It will have to go in your next order. Sorry for that contingency. Uh-oh, we're having problems. I can't open up my jar. This is not good. I didn't test this, and I normally don't have problems with my jar. I don't want to put the whole can up there. You know, this is the interesting thing about lives. You can't get away from the fatal truth when stuff happens. So I've got my can here, but it's too big to get up on the, it's too big to get up on the table. I'm gonna have to just pour some out in the cup. I apologize to you guys. Now that's something I could have had set up in advance. I do have a bottle opener thingy that I can use, but it's in the other room, and I'm not gonna make you wait for me to do this. So very carefully, I am pouring some, whoo, God, and it almost went off the table. Remember, it's a whole can. You're trying to pour less. Can't say that. You don't see the real deal on these lives. So, like, I think I went a little overboard. What do you think? Yes, I'm going to have to clean up my mess here, but that's okay. You guys can all laugh at me now. So, Catherine, Sherry, Opal, who were the 2 people that said 10? Can you guys kind of repost that for me? Wait a minute. I ordered the metallic the day they came out. So does that order count as a next? No. Oh, if it's still pending, yeah, it might actually. If I can get it down to the crew, they're going to start shipping Tuesday. So I just, you know, I want you guys to have some of the tools that I'm using here. And sorry I'm wasting time trying to clean up my hands from making a mess. I didn't see anybody laugh about my mess. So here we go. Let's get some mixing going here. So I'm going to use 2 of these scoops. Get that in there. We'll mix it up in a second. Let's do our next color. I'm going to play with, I have some autumn leaf here. I thought there were 2 people that said the number 10. Maybe it is Catherine. I thought I saw 2 people say 10. There's some varnish. And if you've not heard that Autumn Leaf is hands down one of my favorite colors in the whole wide world, and it is still the top seller after all of these years, and I know it was made the very first jet. This is Primary Elements Autumn Leaf. Primary Elements Autumn Leaf. Put it in some varnish, right? I'm going to add, of course, this is so stinking pretty in the varnish. I got to show you in the varnish first. Autumn Leaf is the most gorgeous autumn brown, warm, orangey autumn brown. Kind of up, Sherry Ellis loves oranges, so this is kind of up her alley. Let's do a couple paddles of that in this. Get all these mixed up at once. I know, I promise you color mixing, but it is tedious. It's time consuming. Okay, we have another color called, those of you that have been playing with a fairy tale set. By the way, that white stuff, that's my vivid enamel. By the way, while we're right here, because I kind of got a little distracted. This morning, I spent all morning putting every single primary element and PrizmPour on sale. They're marked down 12%. If you use them with the 23% code, you're saving 35%. That's going to be good till the 7th or the 8th. I think that's when it falls off. Thank you. I know I love Autumn Leaf, but while I'm playing with the primary elements, okay, I wanted you to know that the sets are on sale, the loose jars are on sale. Now, here's something that's going to happen with the primary elements. There's 314 colors. That's a lot of colors. I don't think we need quite 314 colors. In the beginning, we weren't doing sets, so the original colors like Autumn Leaf and Ginger Peach and Hot Cinnamon were in sets. And then as I started making sets in 2021 and people started collecting them, the set collection started building. And at the time, I would put a set in and then out of stock, and I kept trying to hold the number to 150. And it was about a year and a half ago, I had a bright idea. I said, hey, open up the master library to everybody. But that's a lot of product to sustain. And we want to start pouring our Twinkling H2O watercolors again. We haven't poured them in about 6 years. And with the mixed media market coming back in and things are shifting in art, it's time to actually make our watercolor line again. But to make room, we have to reduce some of our floor space, right, by cutting down the offerings of the primary elements. And I'll have the final say, but we're going to go first on what the lowest sellers are. And what we'll do is I'm going to create a special page where you can go in and see them listed. And some of them will have a number on them because we might be down to the last 12. Some of them might not have a number on them because it's kind of still considered open stock. But as we sell them down, they're going to be eliminated. Now, that doesn't mean if somebody wanted to buy the entire master set, and there is an entire master set up there, list price is $3,900. I think we've got it marked down $419 right off the bat, just because it's been put together as a set. And of course, with this deal, that's an extra 35% off. But I think if the crew tells me the feasibility of still being able to offer a master set, we will. So the people that are panicked that, oh my God, they'll never get it again, they may be able to get in a master set, but we just got to make room for stuff. So I hope you guys understand. Let's get back to our mixing because we're going to play with primary elements, Madagascar Ruby, and that white stuff, Megan, is our vivid enamel. It's just easier to show in the camera this way. Here's our Madagascar Ruby. And by the way, a Madagascar Ruby is orange. It is not red. I think you're going to be very surprised by this color. Okay. It's yeah, it's in that beautiful, I think it's in the fairy tale set. I'm in love with this fairy tale set. But it is look at that orange. Now, I like breaking everything down on the varnish too. Remember, there's ground color in here, and the more concentrated the color is, I gotta muddle up, get all those pigments, those ground color pigments broken up, right? God, that's pretty. That That is such a pretty, pretty, pretty orange. And let's put our 2 paddles in. That way we're just mixing up, you know, a 1/2 ounce of paint for a project. I don't have to commit all of my materials to an entire bottle, right? Now, this is your color, Sherry. If you don't know it, Sherry Ellis, who's in the feed, she absolutely loves oranges. Okay, so that's Madagascar Ruby. It's stunning. Oh God, it's got the aubergine in it, right? Okay, I'm liking this, but you know me, I want to dress it up just a little bit more. I'm seeing this pretty gold bling in there. I'm thinking just a bit, if I go with a diamond gold, let me find it over here in my stash. That's violet diamond. Gold diamond. Here's the gold diamond, the really big flakes. You see how big those flakes are? Big chunky flakes. That's a diamond mix. By the way, you guys that have ordered the pre-order of the Purely Pigment Metallics, you're getting a custom mix of 3 different diamonds we mixed together for you guys. But I think this will add a lot of a bing bing without taking away the orange. Remember, we know how strong the mica is, so I just want to add a little bit of dazzle, but I don't want to take that orange away. I don't want to use the fine mica because it'll shift the color too hard and change it. I'm not trying to change it. I'm just trying to make it a little more blingy. Can't seem to get enough bling in my life. So let's mix up this autumn leaf. It's had plenty of time to set. By the way, our browns and our really dark reds take a while for that color to break down, so be patient with it. Now, something you probably don't know, unless you own autumn leaf, was it starts to explode before you. There's actually some violet in it, so I'm going to play with Diamond Violet. And she's there. I can hear you guys. What, Violet? Really? Really? Let's see if I can find it, though. No, I don't see my violet diamond. I see my blues. I see my, oh, here it is, violet diamond. Now, I could have also used red, right? Red would also be appropriate, and I think I will use the red because the red is kind of close. But again, big flake, right? The big diamond flake. Let's add a little extra, a little something, something. And that's that red. You can almost see how it starts to change in there before I even stir it. Ooh. Now we got some pretty sparkle. Okay, the sun-kissed, let's see, this was my papaya I mixed with interference gold. I got to go back to that original one. I was trying to make this really pretty pink that Pam Coffee liked. She's a regular here on the feed. And when we mixed it in the interference gold on paper, it kind of gave us a rose gold effect. Let's see if I can find a little piece of paper here, where you can see what that gold does when you're mixing it in there. See how you're getting almost a rose gold effect by putting that interference gold in there? That's one of the beauties of playing with these micas. Like I said, it's bending the light. We're all about bending and playing with the light. Okay. I wanted to do some pink diamond. I wanted to throw some PrizmPour in the mix because I can. I have a little oopsie here. I'm going to clean up. One thing I've learned about this is always keep your table clean and tidy, especially other than I just rub the color into it, but oh well. Okay, so let's add some of this pink diamond back to the same thing. I want them all to react to the Floetrol, so I'm adding varnish to that one too. Thank you, Art CD. How's everybody doing? End of the year. Are we all happy to say goodbye to 2023? I gotta say, 23 was a rough year for business and a rough year for the world, but boy, lots of jobs popping up. There is a shift happening, and I'm very hopeful for 24. And I'm not gonna measure this, I'm just gonna give it a squirt. It's probably too much. I got a little heavy-handed on that. That's that pink diamond PrizmPour. And we'll have fun with this one. This one, we're gonna actually play with the dancing fuchsia. Now, I just happen to know that it's the closest thing as I could get to rhodamine vitamin, the PrizmPour in that artist grade color. This liquid rhodamine is a special material. It comes from a different company. It's what makes our jasmine so pretty, right? So I want to add a little something to this. Let's make this a little bit brighter. If Priscilla Betzel was watching us, she'd be going crazy because and I just put a lot in there. You saw me put in probably 8 drops. That was intentional. I really want this to be a deep rhodamine. See what that did? Woohoo! Oh my God. Completely different color, right? And then the closest thing to it is either gonna be we go blue or we go green. I'm gonna go blue just because I can. We know the dancing fuchsia has some blue in it. And one thing I haven't discussed with you guys, but you want to be careful. I try not to go to more than 2 colors of mica in something. I'll even go look up on our website. And let me get on camera here and explain this. So if you go to our website and you're looking up something, especially a primary element, but all of them are listed this way. The first few words is the color base. The next few words is the pearls. So it might say brilliant red violet in a blue pearl base, or a blue green in a violet pearl base. Now, why am I bringing this up? Because when I'm starting to alter, I'm altering these colors, still staying with kind of how they're already made. I know how they're made. I made that Madagascar ruby. I made that autumn leaf. So I knew I could get away with putting the gold diamond or the violet diamond in them. But when you get to 3 colors, here's the point I'm trying to make. When you get to 3 colors of mica, they soften it into what I call an oyster. Under the best lighting in my house is actually over my washer and dryer. And if I'm looking under that LED light in the ceiling, I see every color of the rainbow on the back of my hand sparkling on my skin. But in regular lighting, it's really soft. It almost looks like a mother of pearl. We call it oyster. So I try really hard not to go past 2 different types of mica to shift or bend the light, because I'm not looking to soften. Now, if you want to lighten a brown and not make it more red or more gold or more green or more blue, then we do have a color called oyster up on the website that's all 5 interferences. They do make a 6th, but most people don't sell interference copper because it's not much different than mixing your red and your gold together to make that copper. So I don't really carry the interference copper anymore. I did years ago. All right, back to my mixing. All right, so I've got some of the Angelwings in here. This is that opal blue. That's really a strong blue, and you can see it starting to affect it. But we're gonna go all in on this one. Let's add some interference blue, and this will really, really bend the light. This is gonna have an effect on the final color. And I'm gonna add, that's blue, blue, blue. And I think, let's do a diamond. Let's go play it straight here. So interference blue, Angelwings blue, and then that diamond blue, right? Put some diamond blue in here. I love these little spoons. I can't live without those spoons. I use them all the time on my lab table. And then when we're mixing, we're not mixing by weight, we're mixing by volume. So, okay, y'all ready to see what, there's 22 people in here and everybody's being really quiet. What is the deal with everybody this morning? You're probably cleaning your kitchen while you're listening to me, right? Now, I'm hoping that blue will be more visible. You're watching. Hi, Catherine. I see 22 people on. I do. I really do. I need to cut up some more white paper here. I like to have these little scratch pieces of paper so you can get a real eyeball. Well, thank you. You're hanging on. God, you guys. I just want you to have full knowledge of all the materials out there. And I'm going to say, I know that I've been doing this. This is my 28th year, 2024. So I've been working and watching the whole Mica market change. Gosh, can you see that blue in there? I don't know if you can see that blue in there, and that paper is curling up. Hi there, Sonia. Welcome. So, God, that's gorgeous. I guess my point is I want you guys to use all your materials. Now, I was going to talk about the coating. I know I keep going back and forth, but if I'm going to be real serious on camera and talk about something, you should see my face. Thank you. Yeah, and you know what? We're trying to build a page on the website, Catherine. I'm glad you said that you like watching these, because we're getting ready to build out a page where then we can have like a resin section, a color mixing section, just color play. Like today, I'm going to try to do a swipe for you guys. Let's hope it's successful. I am watching this color and it's really making me happy looking at it. It's just so gorgeous. Okay, so here's the thing with the micas. Over the past 28 years, it's coming on 28 years, I've watched this whole Mica market evolve. When I started in 1997, there was like 3 interferences that Prolex came out with. And there was, well, that's okay, Princess. I did mix up your pink and gold, and we're going to do a swipe today, honey. So I've watched this evolve. I mean, at that time, interference mica was interference mica was interference mica. And Germany was the first country to do this. And by the way, I don't know why nobody in the United States has grabbed on and tried to learn this technology. I mean, it's not going to be easy to chase what the Asians and the Germans have done because they've really perfected this coating. But at the time, interference was interference. And then the Germans stepped in, I mean, the Asians stepped in and they wanted part of that market. And yet their violet and green could not match Germany. And here's why. There's a coating put on the mica, it's ground. Then it's put through these big machines that sift. I'm so sorry, honey. Sorry to hear that your dog's gone. We're all hugs and prayers for you. So they put that ground material in this sifter, different screenings. And they're screening out different particulate sizes, but they're also screening out this chalky interior. It's kind of chalky. So when I got my first batch of interference green, it had to be 1999, 2000, from this Asian company, it looked really chalky and it kind of looked yellow. It didn't have a real bright green. And that's when my eyes, my eyes started really getting trained. I mean, if anybody's ever gone diamond shopping, that first diamond looks stunning until you've seen the flawless one at the end. And then that first diamond looks yellow, right? Well, my eye got trained. And as the mica market started to evolve, the Asians actually passed up the Germans. Even though Germany makes beautiful product, they just got a little bit full of themselves. This is what their salesperson told me. And they weren't interested in making anything new. As a matter of fact, they even asked me if I could make pigments for the motorcycle shops that wanted customized pigments because they didn't want to make anything customized, which, that was really exciting. But my point is, the Asians suddenly got really competitive. They knew they didn't have the cutting edge, right? Their color just wasn't there. And fast forward, that was 23 years ago. 23 years ago. Now they're using synthetic material that isn't chalky. I know for a fact that our interference has a triple coating on it. So now you can get them. I don't mean two colors like a blue and a green, you know, that has a slight shift to it. I mean, they'll put a triple coating of the gold. That's why our eye gold is so brilliant, right? And so not all interferences are the same, but I think you should play with what you have in your stash. Doesn't do us any good to walk by and pet it. This is what I used to tell ladies at the trade show. They'd get all Twitter pated and wanted to order something, and they said, "Are you going to go home and use that?" Well, and I'm like, it doesn't do us any good. I'm a collector. It doesn't do us any good having it be in a drawer on a shelf and you just walk by and pet it every once in a while and say, "I own you. Hi, Pam." Well, you're not too late because I'm still in the middle of color mixing. So not all interferences are the same today, but I think you should dig into your stash, play with what you have. Then when you get one of our interferences and you can compare them to what you got, your eye will be able to be trained to see the difference in the brilliance. Let's get back, because I've got one more color here. I want to do fennel flower. Okay, I know I'm wasting time, but I also want you guys educated here. So fennel flower is a beautiful yellow orange. Can you tell we're going warm tones in this? I have no idea what this piece is going to be like. I'm just kind of winging it here, because I don't do these samples in advance. There is no guarantee how this is going to turn out. This is an absolute real live for you guys to see. So this is Primary Elements Fennel Flower. I believe this is in the Starburst Galaxy set. Starburst Galaxy. Okay, I gotta get my table cleaned up a little bit, stuff off here so I can move around and grab my colors as I need them. If everything's back in its place where I found it, there's some interference gold. I think I'm gonna add some red diamond to this one, like I added red diamond to that one, and get all the rest of these put away. Just got a little bling. Thank you, Catherine. I'm very aware that I've been on for 47 minutes and we've just been talking, but I really, really think that I've been quiet all these years and people have been asking me to do videos and show them how I paint. And I think to start with, this is starting to dry now. It's starting to look really pretty. But I think I just wanted you guys to know everything you can do with these materials. I won't go. Okay, 2 paddles worth, so we're consistent in our mix. Again, I'm not trying to make up a ton of colors in advance that I'm going to store and save, even though I have tops. But this is fennel flower. Oh, come on, baby. Get mixed up in there for mama. All right, now, I've been dying to do this all this time. Yowzer! Okay, so what color am I going to use? I really wanted to use the Cerulean Blue because it's hands down one of my favorite colors. And it's quickly becoming that. But I think a turquoise might also look really interesting in these colors, swiped with them. Okay, and these are the metallics. So first time, see that on camera. Let's see, now the mica drops at the bottom. You really gotta shake these up. There's mixing beads in them, but there you can see how much mica's in that bottle, right? And same thing with, so I've got the blue-green and the green-blue. They're both kind of in the same thing. I know they're gonna complement all those oranges and they'll look really pretty with that pink. All right, so shook up well. Dash of Josonia in each one. So we got the varnish, because remember, these are in a varnish blend. Come on top, open up for me now. No, please don't do what we were doing yesterday. Three, four, five, six, seven, eight. That felt pretty good. I'm just trying to count them as I'm going. And this is the cerulean. Even though I'm dying to play with the eggplant, I just think it might react a little weirdly to some of these colors we've got mixed here. So I'm going to stick to 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Looks like there's 12 in that one. Okay. Oh my God. Now, when I did my piece for the cornucopia event, I was doing varnish glazing, and this is exactly what I would want the paint to look like. Glazing means you're getting the color from up underneath and the color on top, and it creates a gorgeous effect. Here is our Lagoon color. Oh, that's such a pretty turquoise. I think I can tell I have more of that one in there. I'm just going to add a few more drops. That way we're equal. 1, 2, 3. We're equal. I want to be able to do. Now, I could dribble this straight across, but what happened is when I used this directly in that little tile that we did, I'm looking here to the left to see if I got my hands up. I can show you. Okay, I do have it here. Okay, so the very first attempt at a swipe with the metallics, what I did is I mixed up the Egyptian blue in the PrizmPour, and I did it the same thing. I put the 2, spoonfuls of the enamel and the varnish in there. Then I dribbled just the straight metallic on there, and I don't know if you can see this. Now what happened is when I put the cell activator right here, the varnish reacted to it. It almost fractaled into it. The paint didn't, but the varnish did it. But after it swiped, it was okay. So if we use like the varnish that's been used in swipes, and then especially if I add at least, and I don't have a lot of paint in here, so I'm only going to add 1 paddle of this in here. And we know that the chemistry is the same. It's all about the chemistry with these techniques and paint density. But chemistry is usually, it's the chemical reaction of stuff. Let me get this out of the way. I think that's enough. I don't need that much of this, and I'm just going to dribble it across. But you see, that milky acrylic makes it look more subtle until it dries. And I like what it looks like when it's wet and it looks like a varnish, right? Woohoo, all that sparkle. Okay, now another thing I did years ago, I hope I've got enough paint colors on here though, I think, is I actually took some interference and varnish and I mixed it together. I mean, interference and American Floetrol at the time because we weren't using Australian Floetrol. So just for the fun of it, I've been fantasizing about this all morning. This is going to be a crazy mix. You're working today. Hi, Michelle. I've been meaning to call you. I got your emails. It was Christmas and I didn't want to bug anybody. So, all right. I don't know if I'm nuts to try this, but you're actually seeing me. Oops. I know better than to not use it, not shook up. Just a little bit of the Floetrol. And while we have that out, I don't know if you guys have ever seen, most of you guys have been already done the bloom technique for ages and ages and ages. And so you don't need to be taught, how to make a black cell activator per se. But just for those that have never seen it done, I will. So this first mix is simply Interference Violet, and Australian Floetrol. Quite frankly, there's a lot of Floetrol in there. I think I'm going to add a tiny bit. It feels a little juicy. It's not the same consistency. And so I could get myself into trouble doing this. But what the heck? Okay. And then an actual cell activator is 3-to-1. Some people use 50-50. I have my golden bone black here. I couldn't find my carbon, but the bone black will work. Brand new container of it. And find a small spoon. This is going to make too much. I don't need to make this much. Here we go. That's a teaspoon. That was a half a tablespoon. Okay. Black cell activator. It's 3-to-1. So to keep my table and my spoon clean, I'm going to use the Floetrol first. I know I got a half of a spoon in there in that first little pour that didn't make it in there. So that's about 3. This is the stuff you want to make in advance, but there are people out there that still email me and want to know if I sell Australian Floetrol. And of course, everybody asks everybody how to make a cell activator. I'm not special that they're going to ask me that, but I still get asked. And it's been, since 2018 when that class launched? Okay, so I'm just going to dip my black spoon in here. That's a lot of black paint. But I'm not going to put that back into that container. I don't want to taint it. Let's see, I got a water container back here. I can put this spoon in so it's rinsed out. Get my black put away. So now we got all kinds of components here. Now what are we going to do? Make a happy mess. Now the one thing about cell activator when you're using the Australian Floetrol, any Floetrol, the Floetrol was designed, and I'll talk with my face on here while I'm mixing this stuff. So Floetrol has something in it called surfactant, a surfactant. Think of surface, the word surface, surfactant. It affects the surface tension. All Floetrol has it. And soap actually is a natural surfactant. It makes stuff spread. Even water can kind of be a natural surfactant. You put on something and makes stuff spread, okay? So I'm sure many of you've heard, don't make a big batch of cell activator at once. And by the way, I'm still stirring it while I'm talking. I'm past that gray point now. It actually looks like a cell activator. Because the surfactant that's in it continues to break it down. And if you make a big bottle of cell activator today and wonder why 2 weeks from now it's a lot looser, it doesn't seem to be, it doesn't sit up on top of that bloom and be plump, or on top of that swipe and be plump like you want it to. It's because the surfactant in it keeps breaking it down. It'll just continue to do that. That's why I got worried when I started seeing put Floetrol in all of their paints, because I got worried seeing people do that, because the surface tension is what holds that pattern when you swipe or blow or bloom or whatever you're doing. How many times have we said, oh my gosh, I hope it dries like this, right? And so when you put a lot of Floetrol in a mix, and I know everybody's doing it, I'm not trying to tell people to throw away their Floetrol, but there's always this 50-50 risk that Floetrol is designed to open your pouring time, your open time. So if your husband says you missed a spot on the wall, right, you can go back and go over that spot. It gives you extended open time. But when we're paint pouring and you got this much paint or that much paint sitting on your canvas, it can take 2 weeks for the whole inside to completely cure. And meanwhile, the whole time, we're risking the cells dropping, the patterns dropping, because there's that much Floetrol in there. You don't need that much Floetrol for the special effects. Silicone is an alternative. And then you can also use just a little Floetrol. Why are we using 2 parts Floetrol to 1 part paint, or 3 parts Floetrol to 1 part paint? Think of it as an additive, as a way to add a special effect to something. But I know we all got in the habit of using it. It's a cheap alternative to Liquitex pouring medium. Even Liquitex pouring medium, when you're mixing up paint, you really only need a teaspoon in there. And again, boy, I could go on for a whole hour on this, and I'm not going to waste your time. We're going to get to the swipe. But pouring medium is an actual thing that you buy, and its job is to help your paint from crazing. If you go beyond the 20% threshold that the paint company says, you can thin my paint down by 20%. They don't put it on the tube, but it's hidden somewhere in their website to protect themselves. You go beyond that 20% threshold, you risk the paint flaking, crazing, lifting off, right? And so, how do I explain this? So the Floetrol, people use that in place of real pouring medium. Real pouring medium's job is to be your insurance policy. So if you go beyond that 20% water, your paint's still going to adhere to the canvas. And if you go look on Floetrol's site, I dug through Floetrol's site. They only recommend 20%, because there has to be a place where the manufacturers say your paint integrity will be good up to this level, your color integrity will be good up to this level, it will adhere up to this level of how much you thin it down. So I'm not a big proponent of going past 20%. I'd rather use more paint, but I realize when we're trying to save money and we're experimenting, I get it, right? So anyway, back to my very nervous drawing board. I'm probably going to have to stand up. I'm going to get the colors down on the canvas sitting down, but I'm probably going to have to stand up to swipe. But I am going to use some silicone because I can. And then the same way on my paintings up there, where the top and the bottom was the white, believe it or not, I'm going to actually use some white, Amsterdam white, already mixed with Floetrol, actually white solid activator on the end. I might make a horrible mess. I might not. It's been several years since I've done this. But if I was going to add, oh, where are my pipettes? Naturally, now that I want a pipette, I'm going to add a little bit of silicone oil to this. And I'm wondering how I'm going to do that without a pipette right here at my fingertips. I have drawers and drawers and drawers with all kinds of stuff in here, and I'm usually pretty lucky at that. But let's see what happens if I use the end of a bamboo skewer to try to get a drop or two. So I'm going to leave the Purely Pigments alone, right? I'm going to use the PrizmPour alone. That way we know what colors had the silicone. I'm going to put a drop of silicone in each one of the 4 primary element colors, or a couple drops, whatever this will give me. There we go. That went to 2 or 3 drops. This is going to work. 2 or 3 drops. That one didn't give me that much. I'll have pipettes next time. They're in a bag on a shelf somewhere, and I don't use them all the time, so they're not really on my table that much. But I've kind of missed playing with what silicone does, to be honest. And I've missed painting altogether, you know. I have one more color mixed up. I did that Egyptian violet last week. This is that PrizmPour mixed up. And if I can find room for this, I will. But because that's a PrizmPour, I'm not going to put it in there. Okay, let's see what we can do to get some of this. I got to get some room on the table and move this canvas down so we can do this. Get our paints up to the side, just like as if I was going to do a real live video for you guys, one that was edited, right? can at least try. Okay, PrizmPour, metallic, metallic, primer elements. Now, you do want to give your silicone a stir or two. The more you stir it, the smaller the cells. Just a couple stirs, supposedly. At least that's what they say, whoever they is. Whoever they is. Okay. So let's get this. I'm nervous now, guys. I'm getting excited and I'm getting nervous. I got my little Floetrol drizzle over here. I got my black cell activator here, and I got my cell activator here. Okay, so let's go to the middle of the canvas. And because, even though it could probably stand to be base coated, oh, I hope so, Evelyn. I hope so. Either that, I'm going to make a complete numbnuts of myself. Okay, so the color down below is what's going to come to the top, right? So, I don't know. Let's see how we do this. So I'm going to do a little bit of the Madagascar Ruby here. Now remember, we covered the whole canvas up with paint, right? We didn't just do the lines and spread it in there. We covered the whole thing up with paint. So I'm going to get some Madagascar. There's that painting that I keep pointing to that kind of has the color where it stops and starts. I don't know if this is going to work that way, but I'm certainly going to try. Let's get some of this autumn leaf moving over here. Little autumn leaf moving over here. Again, I keep forgetting that we spread the paint out. I'm still thinking like how we do blooms nowadays. Sorry guys, but I have really limited room on this table because of all the paint and filming equipment around me, so I gotta be really careful while I'm doing this. I think I'm gonna do something with this pink. Because the way I did that one piece, I swiped up and then down and then down and then up. But I don't know. More than likely, I'll just do a regular center swipe. Like I said, I'm a little bit nervous now, guys. And also because we're live, I'm so worried about the time. And I know you say you'll be patient, but it's still a little nerve-wracking to do this. This is a little thick. I'm going to add a tiny bit more varnish to it. Oh my God, Sandy, that's really sweet of you guys to say. All day. We got to do something today, right? Not just paint. Actually, it's our Saturday. We should be able to do whatever we want. Last weekend was a really big holiday, right? You know what I'm going to do? That thin stuff that I said was too thin to swipe with, maybe it'll help me. I'm struggling a little bit with figuring out how to spread this. In the olden days, when we walked into the snow, uphill in the snow, both ways as a kid, it was, again, I just sat there, laid the paint all, covered the whole canvas up. Of course, it was an edited video, so you didn't get to see all the, oh, good. Yes, and we did walk backwards. We did walk backwards. Didn't we sometimes when we walked backwards in that snow? Now, Priscilla Betzel, if you guys ever have a chance to watch her, she's amazing. And she's working with this wonderful spatula that she's got to spread those colors around, right? Oh my God, I can already see the silicone reacting, and we haven't even done anything yet. Yes, we both went uphill either way in the road. Okay, so far I've got fennel flower here, some of that Egyptian. Again, you don't want any holes in the paint. That was the trick to all of this. You don't want holes. You want to be able to, I know I didn't get that much orange up on this other one, so let's do a little orange here. And then let's do more of the orange here. Come on, baby. Now, if I had music on and some chocolates on my table, you know, when we're at class, you can't seem to do an art class without having plenty of chocolates on the table to play with, right? Okay, so this is not flat. I need something flat. Guys, I promise next time I do a live swipe, I'm going to have a few more tools on my table, because you deserve to have me have those tools ready. Let's see what we can do. I am in love with this color. Gosh darn it. I'm loving what it's doing. It's such a gorgeous color. I feel like putting it, actually, I feel like putting it on top. So it's really visible. Maybe this will make a little more progress this way. And I recognize there's a reason why people go with that flood coat on the bottom. So all they have to do is put the color in the center, right? They don't have to cover the whole canvas up. I get it. But I have swipes on the wall that I did like 7 years ago, and they're just really brilliant and pretty because I didn't try to flood the whole canvas with white paint, right? So, like I said, this was the old school method. There's some more of our autumn leaf. I'm just going to keep building this up so we can get some color in all these pockets. I cannot believe there's 29 people watching me do this. Thank you, guys. And don't be stingy with the orange. Okay, sure, I won't be. Actually, all that orange is gone, isn't it? I think I used it all. Let's get that autumn leaf in there. Spread it nicely. This is quite the challenge trying to do this on camera around my equipment. And it doesn't have to be a lot of paint. It just has to have the lubrication, right? It just needs to be lubricated enough. Sitting here wondering if I have, you know I have that same spatula that Priscilla uses, and it's amazing. But let me see if I can't just spread some of the paint this way. You know, I love autumn leaf too. You know what, though? There's a little orange left. You did say don't be stingy with the orange. There's a tiny bit of orange left here. that Madagascar ruby. I think I'll put it in here. Yeah, the closest thing you're going to get to that color you're asking about, John, is the pink diamond mixed with this rhodamine. It was made with pure rhodamine violet, that color that's in the dancing fuchsia. And so I intentionally took the pink diamonds, which is the closest thing we actually have in the PrizmPour right now, and added that to it. Okay, so I've got my pink. I'm done. I think I've pretty much exhausted almost all the autumn leaf. Let's get this in here. Get my little containers up and out of the way. The fennel flower. I don't know. That's a pretty dark blue. I'm going to stay away from putting any more of that blue violet in there. I don't know. It's kind of dark because I have so much more of this pink. Yeah, this is that color, John. That rhodamine violet. This is the color that you're talking about. And it's gorgeous. Yeah, in the old days, I just started dribbling color around and filled up every pocket. It was really random. I wasn't trying to do perfect lines, right? We were just trying to make sure the whole space was filled in. Now, what I am going to do here, I don't know if I made enough of this stuff, but I'm going to put this Lagoon color straight down the center here where the swipe line's going to be. Let's get all of this out. This is that metallic, that turquoise metallic, the Lagoon. And then the cerulean blue, same thing. I think I'll put the cerulean on the other side of that Egyptian blue color. Gotta hope for all of this dance and talk and everything, we get something really pretty. And I'm gonna try to swipe it dead center each way, or a little, trying to go off center, but it didn't look like I did a good job going off center. I know I thought maybe the center was here. My eye keeps going back to the middle of the board, right? Which is gonna be probably what any one of us would do. All right, now one thing I had that I told you I was gonna fool around with, this is when I dribbled a little bit of the interference and the Floetrol through my whole piece. And it gave me these crazy interference effects. I might not have enough made. I think it's video number 12. If you go look up at the older videos, you're gonna see I use that bright green from Artist Loft. I mean, this is a 7-year-old video. But you'll see what I'm talking about when I did this. All right. Now let's get the tool clean. We got to clean this. Can't leave it for later. We lost somebody. They had to log off. We're down to 28 people now. Okay, we got our tool clean. All right. One other thing I want to do is put the white on each end. I'm kind of trying to relive my past, my old glory days when we did this. I guess that's the best way to describe it. Because we put the white with the Floetrol on each end, right? Didn't we? I did. I know I did. So this is actually white cell activator. And then I am going to be really careful to spread it all the way out so our white is completely covered. This part we're going to do right. You see how that rhodamine is already trying to dance with that white. It already wants to go in there. Any empty spots, I'm covering. Even the ones on the corners here that I missed, okay? All right, switch around. Let's get that other end. I just have to imagine this, just go with me here, that this is white paint with American Floetrol on it, because that's what we were using at the time. So this is my first piece trying to do a live on a piece since my original swipe with the orange man's head. Just a reminder, guys, if you didn't see the beginning of this video, this was the very first swipe I did on Facebook Live, and I had no idea what I was doing. Okay, crazy, crazy, crazy. Because I know we just had some people join us. And so this is my second attempt at a live swipe. Years later. It was 2017. This is 6 years later. Okay, I'm filling in pockets. I'm not trying to bore you, but I'm filling in the little white spots here. We don't want anything to skip. The trick to this is you don't want the color to skip a beat. I'm liking our color combination. I like that I stuck to the warm tones, but add a little pop of blue and turquoise in the middle. Get all these edges covered. I have a little pocket here where there's something missing, so I'm going to add a little bit of this pink in here. I don't want to add any more white. What's that? That's interesting. Some little goober in my paint. All right. Hi. All right, I'm nervous. Without further ado, so I'm going to have to stand up. And we'll try to swipe this right to left and then turn it. And then right to left. I got to cover everything up so I don't knock anything over while I'm doing this. So bear with me, guys. All right. And again, I apologize, but this is the best paper I have for doing this. It just is. Wow, can you see all the sparkle on that? Whoa. That is so pretty. I almost don't want to swipe it. Okay, I see a couple little spots that I can see now that just need to be touched up so the paint meets. All right, now on the edge here, let me see if I can sit this back. And my paper beneath is getting really sloppy. So to avoid transferring paint, we're going to go down to our next layer here. Because we don't want to transfer any paint, right? So on this edge, let's see, is this the same width? Pretty close. This is how we used to do it. We'd sit and run our black paint. Now that looks a little thick. Does that look a little thick to you? Looks a tiny bit thick to me. And I have the right, it is my project after all, to sit and say, you know what, just another little dash of Floetrol. By the way, you never add water to your cell activator, guys. You want this to We got 31 people in here. What happened? All of a sudden, a bunch of people joined us. Okay, now I'm going to get my black all the way down here. Get another one of my wooden tools to make sure it's spread. I don't want to waste it, but I don't want to be chintzy with it either. Right? That's a little bit too much black now, Leslie. I think I went a little overboard. What do you think? Again, I have the right to change it any way I want. I'm not just going to sit and do it just because you guys are all watching me. I wish I could use that thinner plastic, and maybe I can. But the paints that we use nowadays, we're using such a thicker consistency. I'm going to push the cell activator right up to the edge. I don't need to have it completely black out everything we're doing. The consistency of the paint that we're using now compared to what we used before is a little bit thicker because we're trying to get our patterns and stuff to hold, right, after we've done it. And the thinner your paint, the more risk of it dropping, which is why your bloom and white paints are a little bit thicker. Okay, let's see if we're right in the middle. Let's see if you guys can see this. All right. Let's start on one end here. Make sure the swipe paper makes contact all the way down. And we're going to pull it up. Of course, you can see all that white came off. I'm scraping the paint off of this thing. And I'm going to put it in a cup. I'm not going to throw it away because I can probably reuse this. But I'm going to swipe this. You guys can't see me do this yet, but I'm scraping the paint off of this. This is what I would definitely be doing at home. I just got it all over the table. Damn it. Even got a little bit on my piece. All right, let's get this mopped up. Give me a minute. I'm liking what's happening though. We're getting some colors developing on that one end. But just to be safe, so we don't have paint transfer, I'm mopping this thing up, right? Then let's add the black. Again, I'm going to do it on a dry end here. Add some of this black here. Come on, baby. Mama needs a new pair of shoes. Boy, I made just the right amount, didn't I? I'm going to run out right here. And then this little shovel-y thing I was using will kind of tighten up where the black is for me. So I can push it forward and not have this entire thing black. I just want the black on the top, okay? So I guess I leave these live actual paintings for Saturdays when I can sit here and make a big mess. I was going to send out my email campaign after this, but I may need to take a little break. But those of you that heard me talk about it, the primary elements in the PrizmPour is on a sale right now. They're marked down 12%. You use our code. You save 35% on the PrizmPour. Oh my God, that's pretty. Oh, that is really turning out pretty. On the PrizmPour and the primary elements. All 314 colors of primary elements in every one of the sets. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing here. I kind of don't want to mess with that turquoise. Making sure all of this makes contact. Keeps making contact, keeps making contact, keeps making contact, keeps making contact. Look at all the white paint that it just pulled off. I probably could have started my Y a little bit further up. God, some of these colors I'm scraping off back into this cup is so gorgeous, right? It's just gorgeous. Bear with me, guys. Cleaning up the mess here. I gotta mop it up. And we're also letting that paint develop. If you can see the paint developing in the middle. Now it looks like I need to pop some bubbles. It's been a long time since I brought out my torch. I have the big torch, like what you buy at the hardware store. I don't have one of those cute little torches that do the creme brulee. Mine kept busting. Every time I get one of those things, it would stop working. So I wasn't particularly thrilled with my last creme brulee torch thingy that I got. All right, let's see what we've got here. It is developing. I now want to take this paper I put in half away so we can get on a dry surface here. And then you guys are so patient. I can't believe how patient you're being as I sit and clean and cover everything up, because it's, you know, it's got to be covered. So the black solid activator I'm out of, I can throw that away. And then this sheet that's underneath this, I'm going to toss this out. And now, where we can actually look at our piece. So there's a bubble there. You know, if I was, I don't know, I might leave it this way. I'm loving what's happening here. See what's happening here? This is that Floetrol and the silicone right here. And really look at that. Look at those big giant water droplets. Michelle, you asked somebody, what do you ask, Michelle? Was the code? You don't need a code. The primary elements in the PrizmPour are already discounted 12%. When you go down there, you're going to see a sell price. Put in the code Celebrate 23, and on those particular items, it's 35% off. Everything else is going to be standard. But I marked down the PrizmPour. I started about 4 o'clock this morning on a spreadsheet, marking them down. But are you guys seeing what's happening here? These big, beautiful cells. And the sparkle. Oh my God, look at that blue. Whew. I don't know, do I just let it run down or let it dry like this? You have the best job in the world. I guess I get to make this stuff, but what's sad is 27 years in the past few years, I've hardly picked up a paintbrush myself. If it wasn't for our quarterly events, I mean, that's the saddest part. I make this stuff and I don't get to play with this stuff. And a friend of mine's daughter came out to see me a few weeks ago around Thanksgiving. We were talking about the company and what to do for the, Inventaholic. That's what I am, Michelle. About, boy, I'm 11. Look at those metallics in the center. You know, that blue and turquoise is the metallics. I can't wait to see what this thing looks like dry. I'm loving the big cells here, right? But I'm loving even the smaller patterns of what happened here. Don't underestimate all the materials we have to play with. And I do have an answer for the silicone. It's possible to silicone your, use silicone in your piece and still use an epoxy top coat if you need to, right? Well, I'm not going to wait for an hour for this to develop more. And it looks like we've been on for 95 minutes. Holy moly. Hey, Barbara. Pick up the brushes. What brushes? Brushes. What brushes? Pick up the brushes. Pick up the brushes, for goodness sakes, woman. Brushes. These? The paint brushes? I kind of want to leave this pattern the way it is. Yeah, I was a watercolor artist for years. And first product, besides the primer elements, people didn't know what to do with the primer elements. So we made our watercolor line. God, I'm trying to tap that out and I'm only making it worse. Let me get something here to just kind of touch that up. While it's still wet, you want to make sure you don't have any holes in your piece. Not that you can't go touch it up after it's dry. You know what? I am pleasantly surprised. Next time, I'll just use a lot less color. I'll know I can start my white here. Sorry, there was a slight pause there. I can start my white sooner. And it's, it's practicing, but I'm loving what we got. I really love what we got. And those metallics are mind-blowing, I gotta say. They're really, really pretty. And the pre-order event on the metallics, we've added a $35 gift. We actually thought it would take till Friday the 5th or Monday the 8th to actually ship. We're gonna start shipping them. Yeah, me too. I love those cells, John. We'll start shipping the metallics on Tuesday. I couldn't believe they got all 10 colors to me in one day. We got the bottles on Wednesday, and my guy in the lab mixed them all up and got me all 10 colors to show on camera for you guys yesterday. And they telling me they're going to ship Tuesday. So you're right, Evelyn, 30 minutes a day can change your life. So the $35 gift, it's only gonna last until we're at regular shipping. This isn't a forever thing. So regular shipping, I think we're gonna run that gift till probably the 8th or the 9th. So if you want that $35 gift, it's some Bling It. It's a big 60 ml jar of a custom diamond mix of the Bling It. And it's got the rain in it, the opal colored green. Anyway, I had fun. I was nervous. I think that heavier paper is better. I now know I could use a little bit less paint. I need to allow that white to come in. Oh, did you? Awesome. You used Bling It for the first time, Michelle, and you loved it. Yeah, it's a beautiful product. I think using a little bit more white on the ends and not, because I kept piling on the color thinking I didn't have enough, right? So I want to thank you for joining me, and I wish you guys a happy New Year's. And I mean, 24 is going to be the bomb. I just think it will. And I hope you will continue to keep joining me Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. Tuesday, Thursdays at 11, Saturday at 9. We're still getting our technical stuff done. Yesterday, I actually scheduled a live. It was an unlisted test on my OBS software, so I could go in and communicate with you guys. The whole point is to be able to announce in advance, like a week in advance, I've got this live going on, and then you can join me in the room. And yesterday, I found I wasn't the only one it happened to. Yesterday, when I went back to do my live, Google completely kicked me out of the account. I couldn't even get in. And so I had to start my live cold like today. And we'll get this down. We'll get it working. But in the meantime, thanks for hanging with me. Hope you learned a little bit. And I look forward to seeing you guys next time. Oh, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Everybody says that. And next time, we'll have a little more color play, right? We'll play with a little more color. And Happy New Year's, everybody. Bye. Hugs and kisses. Oh, I'll keep doing my lives, baby. I will.